side, and they can just apply pressure as necessary. And they're holding the higher ground, and it's working for them. The Connery force, I mean, how much have they got? They're 50-50 now. If they're ever going to make a push, they could overwhelm one defense. Because the attackers are split between two buildings, they could overwhelm one area. And with 2 minutes to go, it looks like the Connery force is on Sunder busting missions, but it's actually the Sunder's actually being defended, so that's good for Cobalt, bad for Connery. Harder, I should say.
Connery has finally decided to make a push into this Barrack Electric, but they waited so long that there's actually a Galaxy and a Sunder that have come up for the NC. So here they could have killed these guys off without any spawn in, and now unfortunately there's spawn in. So now they have to deal with more of them. The
Connery force has found the weak point in this type of defense between the two double buildings of Cobalt is that they'll just run everybody they have onto the capture point. That means they have control of the capture point. Yes, it's going to be a murder fest, and yes, the Cobalt forces will get free kills, but ultimately they don't have the point, which means they need to be lured out, and by being lured out, they can slowly be picked off. And it looks like this base has been properly saved, one side's gone off. So Lithcorp back into the hands of Connery, Cobalt being pushed off. There's a token attack going at NC Arsenal. I wonder how they started that NC Arsenal attack.
Barrack was resecured by Connery, but as I said, like, they waited so long that there now is a Sunder, and there is a conga line of Scat Maxes coming out of it. I don't think that Connery is going to be able to hold this point with the few people that they had on it, which means that there's only going to be a couple seconds taken off of this tick before the NC are back on, and the NC are back on right now.
Well, okay, so we're currently looking at Tuma's cargo facility. The capture point, couple of token forces holding on to... Oh, hello, is this Heavy going to win his little duel? He is indeed. Where are you going to go? There's a couple of token forces from the Cobalt pushing onto the capture point as token forces from the Connery. So it's a small scale fight on the actual capture point. Looks like most of the forces for Connery is actually outside. Cobalt's got the point. I don't foresee them actually losing it anytime soon. Barrack Electrical, you say, looks actually far more interesting.
Barrack Electrical, as I said, Connery finally managed to kick them off the point here, but they waited so long that there's now a Sunder, and they just pulled an absolute insane number of Scat Maxes and took the point back.
They're not watching their rear though. They're only watching the one exit point. This infiltrator, what's he gonna do? He's like, oh, he's been spotted, and he's dead. Well, he did absolutely nothing.
Victory has not eluded
60 seconds to go. This is much closer than it was last time, and they don't have that same Sunder setup. Oh, there's actually a counterflank from the top by a few NC guys, so they're not even being able to get down the staircase for free. This heavy assault is ripping into them. He's still got a couple of kills, getting closer. What are you going to pull off?
There is at least a platoon, maybe more, of Cobalt at Araxicom Network Hub, and there is...
Sorry. There was a dead Vanu, and he had a flashlight attachment, so it looked like the light was shining out of his ass because he was dead on the floor. Sorry, go ahead. Yes, so the Connery force, Max is still being contained outside the staircase. It's a good kind of forward pressure by the Cobalt team. Alright, this Max knows what he's doing. He's run around the other side. Engineer turret, beautifully placed. Reserve Max is on the capture point for Cobalt. They're going to get the base. That's beautiful.
And just a few moments ago, they also got a Araxicom Network Hub, so that is two bad losses for Connery right there. It means that they have even less places to push now.
That means they're 4 bases behind. They need to get... Yeah, 4 bases to win, because 3 bases will only tie the score. And unless they get the Ascent or an NC Arsenal, then they'll be down on the tiebreaker. So they need to get 4 bases to guarantee a win at the moment. Or 3 bases, assuming they can get their hands on the Ascent or NC Arsenal. And the entire Cobalt force has been wiped off the capture point. Well, what's this? The entire VS force of Connery at the Barrack Electrical point defending the point. They can't flip the point. Why can't they flip the point? Because a beautiful piece of interdiction play. The Cobalt force is already on Aramex Chemical Co. They're like, oh, what, you over there? No, man, the fight's over here. Now, the fact is they've got 12-24. There's no reason that they should lose that point. It's critical for Cobalt to hold on to that point, because if they lose... Oh, come on, camera, work with me here. If they lose it, then there's a huge Vanu force, and they won't be able to get the point back. Let's see what's going on. Oh, wait, no. Big redeploy of Connery. Connery's got the point back at Aramex. And it looks like they then will start the cap down at Barrack Electrical.
Connery has pushed on to the NC Arsenal, and they have all 3 points here. But we've seen this just
They're out popped by Cobalt.
before. And there's a large force of Connery at the Bastion right now, allowing that to tick down. I don't know if that is attempting to stop what was at a Raxcom network hub, or maybe they want to push into Lithcorp.
I'll tell you what. See when you move the observer camera really, really fast, right, and the game fails to load everything else, and it loads it late. It loads infantry characters first. So if you get to a base that's heavily under contention, really, really fast, it's like X-ray vision. You just see what everywhere what they're doing. It's kind of nifty.
I've noticed the camera acts a little weirder than usual. I don't know if they did something to that affected its performance in the last...
It's taking a little bit longer to load, but no, I'm just more saying it's interesting seeing everyone running, seeing all the infantry moving around before you see the map, because it shows you where everyone is without actually having to look in the minimap.
Now at NC Arsenal, even though Connery made a big push here, 3 points. Actually, I was going to say it looked like Alpha and Bravo were taken back by the overpop NC here, but it looks like Connery is going back over to B.
Got themselves B, but they're not staying. It looks like they want to move off. Or they're discarding the entrance points. B and C. A, you would have thought would have been the easiest of all the capture points to take, but no, they don't have it.
Speaking of wonderful interdiction, I'm not there to see it, but if you look, there's 96 plus NC at Lithcorp Fortress, and there's 96 plus Connery at North Grove.
and crucially, Connery got the jump. Connery got to North Grove before Cobalt got to Lithcorp, which means the entire Lithcorp force, because it's so many Connery at North Grove, will have to go back.
Yeah, they are heavily entrenched too, and these Reavers can't do anything.
And if we're looking at it, doesn't let NC Arsenal. Well, NC Arsenal, they are actually out popped. And the thing is, there's so much air force currently in the air that the ground forces for Cobalt is actually less than you think. It's not 50-50. It's going to be closer to 60-40 in terms of effective forces on the ground.
One thing I don't see from Connery, turret.
Yes, and Cobalt has tons of turrets
at all.
The attack at Tumas Tech Plant, while it looks like it's an even pop fight, again, Connery has left those vehicle spawns up, and Cobalt had spawned a whole bunch of Sunders, but they are being methodically taken out here. It looks by C4 and tank mines. They've not managed to get any of them up into any of the good camping positions, so this actually may
You need to EMP this entire top force, right, there you go, one guy's picking them off systematically. So the Air Force is being used to maximum effect by Cobalt, picking off all the spawns for Connery's kind of Air Force. And, sorry, Connery's ground team. They're picking up all their spawns, and I don't know if this is overkill. In fact, it's the capture point, and I love the fact that they're holding this upper building, just creating a flank to prevent the basically dropping on the roof of the capture point, then moving in unmolested. So just kind of keeping these guys on the roof at bay for a little bit longer. But as far as the capture point is concerned, okay, grenade festy, they're trying to stay away from the capture point by off to one side, but it's just too small of a location for too many people. Grenades are far too effective, and Cobalt Force is just going to push up when they get to the capture point. And it looks like...
If you're at North Grove.
Yeah, we're at North Grove. It looks like a couple of squads have either been pulled away by Connery or pulled in by Cobalt, and the base timer is drawing to a halt. So, I mean, the fact is that base is theoretically saved, and we see a small force just being a nuisance. It doesn't look like it's like being a realistic capture force, but Cobalt is on the Bastion again, and it looks like they're also being a nuisance at the tech plant, and they're being a nuisance at Aramex.
And the nuisance of the tech plant is, as I said, more serious than their other attacks here. It looks like Connery has taken out most of the vehicles that they pulled. There's actually 2 Liberators. I don't know if that's part of a Connery Air Force or if that's just people deciding to pull libs to kill things. But Connery is finally now starting to try and push in to this tech plant. They look like they hold the ground floor. I could be wrong about that. And they're methodically trying to clear stuff out.
See, what I don't get, and I've said this before, is that I don't know how long this Cobalt force has been at the tech plant unmolested. Okay, so the timer's on 4 minutes. That means they've been here for 3 minutes. Okay, now does that mean they've been here for 3 minutes unmolested, or has it been constant fighting? That's irrespective. Both the terminals are actually hacked and alive for the Cobalt force. The vehicle terminals are hacked. How many NC vehicles are there? We saw one Sunder with the wrong guns being pulled, i.e. not helpful for killing off infantry. There should be huge amounts of harassers with shotguns, enforcers, Sunders with Furies. There's just the vehicle benefit of getting them into the tech plant buys you like a minute or two, just because it's such a nuisance to kill off.
They had a lot of vehicles in here when I showed up about 2 minutes ago.
Right, so it was more that they did do that, but the Connery force picked them all off.
Yes.
Okay.
Aramex Chemical Company got gal dropped by Connery to re-secure the point here, and it looks like they have done that and are mopping up some of this Cobalt force. This is an easy base to gal drop re-secure because the point is outside and you can drop into the courtyard. Although Cobalt is not going anywhere. I don't.
No, they're staying. They have a Sunder, and this is the difference. When you have air control, and in the instance of Connery, when you don't have air control, the Cobalt forces can afford to have more, heavily exposed Sunders to air. This is an exposed Sunder easily to air, and even theoretically to some vehicles coming from the rear. And so long as it stays defended, it's not a deployment Sunder, and that was some C4 and a rocket launcher. Connery force needs to defend their Sunder. They're giving it away for free. Gosh, come on, Cobalt, this is poor play. You need to defend your Sunder. You got it safe from air, and it's burning. Wow. No one's repairing. Okay, there goes the repairs. One last rocket. Oh, that guy got the kill. VS541 got a very, very important Sunder kill for free there. And the fact is, the Cobalt force, yes, they're on the capture point, yes, they've got beacon, yes, they have a lot of maxes, but most importantly, they do not have hard spawns, Sunder spawns. They do have galaxies to get reinforcements and spawn-ins, but they don't have a Sunder. And in that instance, I would actually merit a couple of people, and I don't mean like one, I mean like bring 6 or 7 Sunders from Barrack Electrical and bring it to Aramex. At the very least, hack the vehicle pad. Prevent the enemy from pulling out vehicles. That's also important. Preventing the enemy from pulling their own Sunders and their own Lightnings. You can see the Sunder pulling around. I think he's trying to get maybe a spawn point from the rear. This is lovely positioning. He's just saying, you know what, Cobalt, that was a good spot. I think I'll come in there and take you the same.
The north has seemed to quiet up a lot. I don't know if Connery was moving its forces around or Cobalt was moving its forces around, but the large force that we saw at Lithcorp and North Grove seems to have moved, and that might have been part of that resecure at Tumas Tech. That Connery had to move its people down there. Interestingly, we haven't gotten to see it, and I almost don't want to, but because it looks like it's a single Stalker Hug infiltrator, but the Araxium cryobank keeps on ticking, and you can see that it has no connection, but as long as Connery gets back over there and flips it back the other way, they can keep it going down. It's been that way for about 6 or 7 minutes now since it's been cut off from Barrack Electrical. There's just one Stalker Cloak sitting there running back to the point.
Ah, oh well, that's it, game over.
Yeah.
And without a hard spawn for the Cobalt forces, the lack of Sunder, they're just overwhelmed. It's not that the Connery force had more people, it's simply that attrition being built up, and so here comes the Sunder far too late, and the problem is the positioning is also bad because it takes harder to run around the edge. I wonder if this guy realizes there's a Sunder over to the side. No, over there. Over there.
Cobalt's Air Force has showed up to Tumas Cargo Facility, which is something that they really can't do anything about because Connery has everything inside. They have a Sunder inside, and it looks like 1, maybe 2 squads on the point. I'd really like to see Connery make a big push for this. They keep on only sending 24 people here, maybe 36 at the maximum. I think they need to try and make this a big push, lock their tech plant off and allow them to move somewhere else.
Okay, we're almost at the 1 hour marker, so let's see, where are we at the 1 hour marker? Cobalt has got 53, Connery 45, so they've still got their 4 base lead. Okay, they're applying pressure in the south of Aramex, which means the fighting is not happening at Barrack. The fighting is moved from Tumas and is moved back to Tumas Cargo Facility, but there's almost a half a platoon at Tumas that needs to get over to Tumas Cargo to add in their numbers, because right now they're out of position. In the north, or middle, Bastion is going down with same 2 squads roughly of NC Cobalt forces at Bastion, just being a nuisance. Fighting at Bastion means that Lithcorp and Araxicom hub is safe. It means the ascent is safe. So constantly harassing Bastion is huge for the Cobalt forces. That's great. Lithcorp Fortress is going to tick down in 30 seconds. We're going to have a look there. They're pushing ever closer to the biolab bit.
this is one of those things where Connery at least has been bouncing around. They seem to be coming from the teleporter side, which is good, but
check
this
that
is
X-ray
almost
vision.
some place that you need to attack your. You need to attack.
Oh, they're going to get the base. There's simply no Connery to be seen.
Oh no! I just saw there's. What are they underneath?
No, it's with 5 seconds to go. We're on the top. There's just far too many NC. NCs all fall back to the point in the last 15 seconds, and they're just mega defending it. And well done. That's another base. Now Connery needs 5 bases to win. 4 if they can get their hands on
And the Augur is ticking down
the
as well.
Ascent or NC Arsenal, and the Augur is also ticking down. Wow, this is getting painful now. Tombs cargo facility is still in the ticking in the favour of Connery, but they're at pop 2-1, and okay, so there's much larger forces for Connery than I can see than Cobalt. The map doesn't necessarily update with populations instantaneously. We can see that the Connery force, at least in the minimap, they are trying to hold the bridges again, but they're slowly getting being applied pressure back. Just a constant stream. This is the best thing you can do. Unlike live server play, you don't care about your life. You run so that you take the hits so the guy behind you can get that little bit closer, and you just overwhelm them. Stopping here is the worst thing. They need just to apply pressure. Look, there's only like 2 or 3 guys. They just need to move in and go. And they're sneaking around, and they'll be almost on top of the capture point.
Tuma's cargo facility is under 1 minute to go, and there's a lot of air outside. As I said, that air doesn't have any.
Oh,
effect
so the
on this.
population is actually not what we thought. So yeah, so the Augur's been saved. Moving over to, as you're saying, Tuma's cargo
Tuma's
facility.
cargo, there's a max crash coming. There's a ton of air, including galaxies out front here. I'm waiting to see if this ground force from NC can push in. It's under
20
30
seconds. These maxes need to run now. Why are you waiting outside? You don't have enough time even to run to the point. And this is it. I mean, the fact is, these maxes need to get up top. Good place C4 AV grenade will stop this. With 9 seconds to go, it's still by no means a guaranteed measure. They need to stop the infantry from moving up the staircase. That's the main one. Oh, that was close. Just not enough defenders, but I mean, we are leaving it really close here because they were 2 crucial bottlenecks. Nicely placed C4 is not easily killed on the upper plateau. They had some good C4 placement. They could have killed tons of maxes and bought those extra 5 seconds.
They'd been fighting here for a while, and this is something I just don't understand from Connery. Another squad would have made this go through. They only had, I believe, 24, 36 people. Had you just sent an extra squad to reinforce them in the
They
last...
sent a huge number. They just mega sent a whole platoon. So they didn't send their force that was annoying at the Bastion, so they left the Bastion force there, but the entire south. So basically the team that was fighting at RMX and Barrack Electrical all got pulled to Tumas cargo facility, which is the correct thing to do. You defend what you have rather than attack what you don't.
From Tumas to cargo. See all these Sundays?
Going from Tumas to... Oh, yeah.
And the north is just turning into a disaster for Connery. They aren't even really able to hold them from pushing into a Conum biolab. They're at a Conum garrison right now. Cobalt is taking...
96, 96 going on, but they're still at pop. Now, those extra reinforcements are actually at the Augur, so the Augur force needs to move to a Canum, and then they should be able to balance the force out and perhaps push them back. But it's the Air Force causing the difficulties. Yes, there's a large Connery Air Force, and yes, that might create a kind of a number imbalance elsewhere on the map, potentially in the south, but the simple fact is, using the Air Force, they're using it to pick off the spawns. So long as they can apply pressure with the Air Force so that it's actually useful to pick off the spawns, then it makes it very hard for the Connery force to have freedom of movement, to set up attack, and then basically take a base, because they're always being pushed inside into these narrow choke points, and with the inability to spawn, maxes or get resupply with grenades.
We have seen very scant evidence of a Connery Air Force. I've seen smattering of them, whereas Cobalt has what I would call a platoon up at all times. You would think that would give Connery the advantage on the ground with just more numbers, and yet it seems, just looking at population charts, that Cobalt are the ones who have the more numbers. That's just force allocation. They are being better about placing their people where they need to be at the right time.
Yeah, and the thing is, if there's a squad imbalance, let's say there's one squad imbalance at Canham, and there's one squad imbalance at Bastion, and there's one squad imbalance at Tumas Cargo, and maybe at Barrack, that's your platoon of air already there. So you need to make that extra squad count. And the Air Force, I'm not thinking the entire death ball is one area. I think the Air Force has probably been split into 2 separate areas, because I'm seeing the the Cobalt Air more spread out across the map in different areas. So this is a nice push here from Connery onto the capture point across the bridge.
Force and a southern force, and Planetside outlook and the Ascent seems to be the dividing line between them.
And it makes the impact because all they're doing is making sure that the Connery force cannot attack. It's not necessarily useful on when Cobalt is attacking as an offensive tool, but as a defensive tool, it just kills off all the spawns because we don't have as many spawn sunder shelters or places that it's safe as an attacker to put your sunder. They're usually exposed outside. So Air Force in this base is quite important. And the capture point is close. The Connery force at the Ickenham Garrison is trying to apply pressure. Looks like they will make a save. Yeah, they've got max and infantry support. It was close though, 20 seconds.
I think that was dangerous because Connery didn't know where the point was. They all went upstairs where it usually sits in a building like this, but it's downstairs in this building. I think they were confused as to why the point wasn't flipping in their favor.
Camera's doing the whole head shaking maneuver. Ooh, just fairly safe.
At first I was not understanding what they were doing, but after I've watched them for a while, it seems like they are mainly just defensive at hold, while their infantry compadres move forward. It's something we'll have to ask later on, see what they got going on with that.
There's a small force that was looking to try and
Air Force is bombing the Augur for Cobalt. Let's have a look over here.
But that was just basically just one person.
Connery pushing to Rex and Mac.
Oh, Cobalt is now using the Air Force as an offensive tool. They've got themselves set up on the capture point. I don't actually see a Sunder for Cobalt, but then they are a hostile faction, so I can't see it. But they're actually using the air this time, pounding the double bridgeway that leads from the spawn room. Now, this is one of the few places where the air power has got a clear line of sight to the capture point, where they can interdict and stop the defenders from getting to the capture point. And that means the defensive teams can just watch the two critical bottlenecks. They don't have to worry about air because they know their guys have got the skies clear. They can afford to be outside and be this much of a nuisance. Have a look. No Sunder.
Back on to Mustek. Now, this is something we haven't really seen Connery do. Connery needs to start being better about using this as a pop sink. They don't need to come here right now. They need to come here in 2 or 3 minutes, and they need to use that force for 2 or 3 minutes somewhere else because Cobalt can't leave these guys. They have to stay here. They can't do anything during that time period.
Ickenham is in trouble.
The thing is,
again, referee and all call. 55 minutes remaining. 55 minutes remaining in this match.
So the Augur is getting close. The fact is, the Connery force isn't as close as they were last time. 60 seconds to go. They were not, they're further back than they were before. They did try and do a max charge, but they didn't have any support and they got picked off. And the problem is they're coming in kind of piecemeal. And although there isn't as much air force, engineer turrets, grenades, explosives, heavy assault rockets, they are stalling. Okay, so the Connery force has pushed themselves to the outside of the door. I don't see any Sunders for Cobalt, and maybe that's one coming in very late at the very last minute, but with 30 seconds to go, the Connery force should be able to push to the capture point, given the nature of where it is and the lack of defenders for Cobalt. But that's no guarantee. The pressure being applied by Connery needs to keep... Oh, I love that Claymore. We'll see if he's going to pick anyone up. Yes, it did. This is good. It's good work, but still, it doesn't matter. With 10 seconds to go, the Connery force should be on the capture point, and they are. And you have to ask the question: Cobalt did not have a Sunder. They had air control, they had domination, but they did not have a Sunder. That's got to have affected their ability to spawn back in, and it's got to also have affected their ability to pull fresh maxes. Why they didn't have their own Sunder on site to spawn in when they had complete air control, I don't know. That's a mistake. Maybe it was because the Augur started off as a delay. Oh, there's a Sunder right there. My bad. Whether this is new or old, no, that could have been the guy driving around, coming along to here. But ultimately, I didn't see this chap earlier. I mean, if it's kind of a long run, I guess, but maybe it started as a distraction attack, then it turned into, oh, we might actually get this, but still, if you're going to attack a base, do it properly as if you're actually planning to take it. Bring that extra Sunder support, because you might find that, hang on a second, we could have gotten this base had we had the Sunder, had those few extra reinforcements, had people with fresh grenades, C4, or just fresh maxes coming in. Right, so what's going on the map?
Raxcom Network Hub is being saved as we speak, well, it's actually still in contention as we speak by the NC and VS. I honestly can't tell who. There's so many grenades going on. I think actually they can't tell who's who.
So the force, the Bastion's been pushed off. There's the attack at Raxcom Network Hub, as you said, has been pushed off, 60-40. But in the south, the Connery force is losing ground because they are being pushed back, slightly outpulped from the tech plant at 54-46, and they're also losing slightly RMX chemical. So I wonder if more forces for Connery has been pulled north to deal with the worsening north situation.
I'm actually headed
south
down
to the tech plant.
Yeah,
You
I'm
check
down
RMX
at,
for me.
RMX, yeah. And there's a lot of Cobalt air here. This is a perfect way for them to use their air to prevent Connery to get to the point. They can just absolutely destroy anyone who's trying to come out of those spawns. And Connery needs to figure out a different way to get to this point, whether it's gal drop it, whether it's bring in Asunder from another direction. They need to do something, because what they're doing right now is not going to work with the time they have.
This is nice. The Cobalt force has got themselves lots of Sunders, repair Sunders, lots of vehicles, bulldogs, guns, watching the back spawns. That's great. They've got the balcony supremely locked down. What I don't like, however, is how incredibly weak the double doors is. I wouldn't mind an extra 1 or 2 harassers here, just with some enforcers, the ability to drive around, freedom of movement, and just defend these 2 staircases, because these 2 staircases gives the defenders the ability to move up relatively unmolested, get inside rather than being kind of kept at their doorway entrances, and it means that they can get to the point and maybe theoretically harass using the wall as cover. I do like the kind of flanking shotgun, so maybe that's not necessary. Maybe it's kind of a good flank we've got right now. The thing is, you're putting all your eggs in one basket in one area. If somehow they were able to get in a lot of vehicles, and you can do a lot, you can maximise the damage. And as we see, well, they're able to push in because this area is not being defended, and they can at least force the point to be under contention. And all these defenders on this upper balcony can't do nothing. Oh, hello.
Oh.
Okay, which one is it? Well, we're going to find out in a minute 52, so it should be okay because the alerts are 2 hours, so we'll be fine.
Yes.
Unless it's like a 1 hour surprise alert, but even then we're under an hour for things, so we'll be okay.
So, Red Mist captures Aeromax Chemical Corporation for Cobalt.
Wow, can't believe...
Connery could not get down to that point in time.
And the capture point is being retaken on the tech plant by Cobalt, but all their vehicles have been pushed off. They still have numbers. Oh, that's a nice light assault. Oh, he's been picked up. Oh, he's been spotted. So and they are still...
Cobalt is already on Tormar Storage Yard. They are fantastic at this leapfrogging thing. They already have a small group, and that's a long way away. Connery just has to get out.
They need to hack the vehicle terminal and get Sunder out. If they're going to do that forward stuff... The SCU at the tech plant is dead. The SCU tech plant is dead. There are no Sunders. Okay, there's one Sunder in the north, second Sunder being pulled at the V-Bay. If ever Cobalt wanted to take the tech plant, this is the best timing. We can see fresh air is being pulled by Connery. This is Connery's Air Force. They realize they need to have some air control, because if they don't have air control over the tech plant, they get a Sunder. If they can't get a Sunder, they can't necessarily repair the SCU.
This SCU hold is still going on by Cobalt. I think they're going to try and get back inside here.
And the Galaxy pilot landed and is hacking the vehicle pad, so the rear vehicle pad is actually hacked. I would love to see Cobalt pull extra Sunders, extra vehicles. They need to get the capture point back eventually, otherwise the SU shield will go back up, but so long as they have vehicles and so long as they bring their air in to mop up any Connery air, we do see an air fight going on above the Tumas cargo facility and the tech plant. Looks like the Connery Air Force is trying to do what it